Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I would like to talk about how to stop overthinking and how to cultivate a calm and peaceful mind. So based on my personal experience, the reason why my mind used to be so busy all the time was because I was giving so much meaning to my thoughts. So what I did, instead of trying to desperately quieten my mind and stop having thoughts, I started to observe my thoughts instead. I decided to create an awareness of my thoughts so I could observe them and actually examine what was going on in my head 24/7. Because it's not so much about quieting the mind and trying not to have any thoughts. It's all about creating this understanding what is going on in our minds, and then also this choice we all have every single day. We can actually choose to ignore our thoughts. We can choose to ignore our inner voice. And that is how I was able to cultivate a quiet and peaceful mind. Now let me explain. It all comes back to this idea that all of our thoughts are inherently neutral. It's the meaning we assign to a thought. So we assign either a positive or a negative meaning to our thought when we give meaning to a thought. But what we are doing now is observing our thoughts without any attachment, without giving them any meaning. We sit on our sofa and we do nothing. Thoughts will come up, we will observe them, but we won't give them any energy, we won't give them any power. For example, if I sit on my sofa, my mind would tell me something like, oh, go on your phone, this is boring. But this is where I can actually ignore the thought. I can simply observe it. I do not have to act on a thought. It doesn't mean I have to pick up my phone and scroll and distract myself from sitting and observing my mind. Or when my mind is telling me I'm not good enough, I can simply observe that thought without any reaction, without any emotion, without any attachment, because it's just a thought. It doesn't mean anything. It's completely meaningless. And the more you start to ignore your thoughts and you stop reacting to them, this is when your mind will get more quiet. Because your mind, your ego will understand that you're not reacting to the thoughts. A thought can only create an emotion when you give meaning to that thought, when you react with an emotion to that thought. A thought without a response, it's meaningless. It's completely useless. It won't do anything. Now let me give you one example, something I used to struggle with a lot. So I had a lot of limiting beliefs around money, a lot of money blocks, because I always believed I wasn't good enough, and I always grew up listening to a lot of fights about money in my household. So my subconscious mind got programmed to be fearful of money, to be fearful of eventually running out of money, essentially. So that is what my subconscious mind would continue to tell me every single day. Eventually I will run out of money. Now when you observe your mind telling you this, when you get a thought, I will run out of money, this is where you have a choice. You can either assign a negative meaning to the thought, or you can simply ignore that thought. And that is what I started to do. And this is when everything changed. Because if I assign a negative meaning to that one thought, I will run out of money, that thought could actually manifest stress, worry, anxiety. I could get digestive issues. I could get lower back issues, because that is usually where these emotions and fear of money are manifested in our bodies. I could follow that thought with more thoughts that create anxiety, like, oh my gosh, yes, everything I will lose when I eventually run out of money. Think about everything I don't have. Think about everything I'm lacking. Or I could try to desperately try to earn more money and find solutions. But the issue here is, when the mind is creating the problem, it won't be able to find a solution. The solution is not to give any power to your negative thoughts. So that's option number one. Option number two would be, my mind is telling me I will run out of money, and I will just sit and observe and do nothing. I will consciously disagree with the thought. I will say it in my mind, I consciously disagree with that. That is not true. I will never run out of money. and then it won't create a negative emotion in my body. And that's the key. We always have a choice. A thought can only create an emotion when we are responding to a thought with an emotion. When we don't do it, that thought, it's powerless. And that thought won't create reality for us. Because that is how manifestation works. Manifestation is based on emotions, feelings. It's based on a vibration, a frequency we are sending out through certain emotions. That is why when we want to manifest financial abundance, we manifest based on emotions of gratitude, inspiration, joy, love, happiness. But when you always have thoughts and you listen to them like I will run out of money, you create emotions of stress, worry, fear, and that is not manifesting the outcome you want. That is actually manifesting the opposite outcome. And this is why it's so important for us to learn to observe our mind, because that is where the magic happens. And we truly all have to understand that we are not the mind. We are not our thoughts. All of our thoughts, or most of our thoughts, like 95%, it actually comes from our subconscious mind. We are not actually consciously thinking anything. It's what we have been programmed to think. It's what we are picking up on a daily basis when we are scrolling on our phones, when we are watching TV, when we are watching the news, when we are watching movies, when we are talking to people. Our thoughts are not actually our thoughts. It's a program, something that runs in the subconscious mind. And then we assign meaning to those thoughts. And that is all it is. So I stopped overthinking when I stopped listening to my thoughts. I am in full control over my mind. I am in full control over what thoughts I give meaning to, what thoughts I entertain, and what thoughts I consciously disagree with. So whenever my mind tells me something I do not like, something that would create a negative emotion in my body, I immediately consciously disagree with it. And I remind myself that this is just a thought and I do not have to give it any meaning. And that is all I have for you today. Please let me know if you have any questions about this topic. And I really hope you found this video helpful. I would love to have a conversation with you about this because it really helps when we are talking about what is actually going on in our minds. And when we are putting it out there, this is when we're actually recognizing, wow, my mind is negative and there's absolutely no reason for my mind to be so negative. And there's no reason for me to listen to that negativity. And that is my intention with this video, to create this awareness, because that is how we need to live. Awareness of the mind, living from the heart. And if you would like to book a coaching session with me, you can head to my website. The link for that is in the description of this video. I'm sending all of you so much love and I will talk to you in my next video.